Hi, everyone. I'm Gina Minardi, and I'm a licensed therapist who got fed up with therapy. This is a one-woman show about my journey of finding the spaces between non-traditional approaches of healing. What I learned is that there's no one right way to heal, and you truly are your best resource. Therapists and healers are meant to support you on your path, but they don't have all of the answers. You do. This show is about the spaces between laughter, tears, thoughts, ego, soul, messy growth, and moments of joy. It's about personal liberation, inner knowing, and the tools that get you there. I will cover topics that make many of us uncomfortable and interviewing people who are willing to go there. I've spent thousands of hours listening to human beings navigate their life story, from rehabs in Malibu to homeless shelters in East LA, and now my private practice. It has been some of the most profound, painful, and beautiful moments in my life. Thank you so much for joining me. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Spaces Between. Today, I have the honor of sitting down with Krista Rauschenberg, who is an Advanced Akashic Record Reader. She did my records, and it was one of the most profound and deep experiences that I've had in a long, long time. So, Krista, I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm going to just kind of dive in with what are Akashic records, how you got started, what brought you to reading, and we'll just go from there.
That sounds wonderful. And thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to explore this with you.
Yeah, me too. So what brought you to the Akashic records and doing these readings?
So I think it was almost a decade ago when I was going through my own life crisis or kind of existential crisis. I was working as a postpartum doula, and it was the first time in my life I had a skill set where I could help people and really see a change. And that was the most rewarding I'd ever felt in any capacity in terms of a career. And I was working nights. And that was really, really hard on my body. And I knew I had to quit. Like I just couldn't support it anymore. And caring for someone else's child is so heavy with responsibility. And I took it so seriously, and I had to be hyper vigilant. If it was my own child, I would have probably been so much more relaxed, but it wasn't. It's someone else's. And so it was a very intense experience, although very loving and connective, it still was a lot. And in the interim, I went back to production because that's what I was doing before. And I was just miserable, trying to find meaning again. And it just wasn't there. And a friend of mine said to me, go get your Akashic records read. And I'd never heard of it before, but I was all in from the second I heard it. And I made an appointment with this woman, and the first thing she said when she opened my records was an invitation. You can do this work. And I had heard throughout my life, you're a healer, or you're this, or you're that. And I never identified with it. It seemed far too esoteric and not in alignment with like, I've got to get a job. I have to have a paycheck. I've always been self-supporting from a very, very, very young age. So I didn't have time for that. Like I love to go and get, gushy with like spirituality and esoteric endeavors, but I wasn't gonna, I don't know, I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder. But for whatever reason, I started reading all about it. I signed up for every training you could take to become an advanced reader. And I started reading for friends and family. And then I opened it up to a women's group that I belonged to and just said, like, I'm doing these readings if anyone wants, like just tiny little voice through a Facebook group. And all of a sudden, zoom, I had like reading after reading after reading. And I was back in that position of helping people, having a skill set where I could help people. And it felt even more divine. It felt even more fulfilling. And it was on my terms. Like I didn't have to stay up at night and do it. And I could do it from my home. And it was just such an easy life experience, navigating through my day and, taking time out to help people and then going back to my day. It was just such a pleasure. I felt like, and I still do, I still have moments where I'm like, I won the lottery.
Yeah. Yeah. You step deeply into your soul's calling, and not that being a doula wasn't part of the path and absolutely it was massive, but I feel when we step into the space where we're just so lit up by what we do, it's a direct expression of the divine. So,
and without being a doula, I wouldn't have had an understanding or appreciation for doing what I'm doing now, because that was the first time in my life that I had the experience of learning about energy, because babies, they're all energy. That's their language. So I was exchanging energy and got a really solid foundation and understanding of like, oh, and I don't have children. I didn't grow up around babies. But I was always babysitting. Like I always had an affinity for children, but I had the experience of someone handing me a baby and I knew exactly what to do. And I know exactly what to tell the parent. Like I was in this role of, I just had this gift. That's the only thing I could call it. And I was like, oh, this is a gift because I don't know how I know how to do this, but I know how to do this. So this is something that I've done before many, many times. I felt so certain. And so that it's like, oh, this is a gift. So that lended itself really well into the next chapter of like, oh, I don't know how I know how to do this either, but I am doing this and it works and it's real. And here we are.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I love that last thing that you just said, which is it works and it's real. Because I'll even say my partner boyfriend, Jonas, who he's a huge skeptic of these things. And I naturally am as well. But I sat him down and had him listen to our session together. Wow. And at the end of it, he just sat there and went, wow. Yeah. To the point of it working and being real. And for the skeptics out there, I would love to just talk about your process of, when you intuit, because you said to me in the beginning, this is not a psychic reading, Gina, but there's very much this intuitive quality and this deep knowing. I felt even when I sat down with you, it was wild, the energy. So what happens for you when you're doing a reading? I'm sure you get this question all the time from people. If you see it in pictures, if it's audible, how the reading and how you open the records.
Yeah, it's a big question, right? With many, many answers. I'll start with the psychic reading. I say that it's not a psychic reading because I'm not pulling from the psychic realm. I'm pulling from the Akashic realm. And the Akashic realm is said to be the highest realm, the most pristine. And I'm also not channeling my guides, masters, loved ones. I'm opening and I'm channeling yours. So you're not using me. I'm your channel. There's no filter involved. Like the information I'm giving you isn't being filtered through my whole experience as a soul, as a human, what have you. And then in terms of the process, when I'm in a reading, it's very specific to each individual, what comes through and how it comes through. That being said, I see things like I'm watching a movie and I can stop it and rewind it and see it again. Sometimes it's a flash and I have to ask for it to come back, or I have to kind of move it around in my mind to get into it. I have to ask questions like, what is that? Can you show me more? I hear things. I know things, and then I'll feel things in my body. What I can kind of guarantee within each reading is I'll definitely feel things in my body and I'll definitely see things. Well, I guess it's all of it, but depending on the individual, some come through stronger. Also, I find that the way I speak, the words I use, the like with some people, I'm cussing a lot because that's how they express themselves. And that's what's going to kind of get their attention. Other people, I'm just, and it's just an energy takeover. Other people, I'm more delicate. I'm more refined or meticulous and slow and easy. It's really like being in their energy and just kind of taking their energy, the energy that's coming through, and just being almost like the puppet, if you will.
Whoa. Is that ever overwhelming for you?
No,
No.
no, I love it. It's amazing.
I see your face right now. You're like,
No, it's good stuff.
So when you were taking trainings of how to access the records, and I know you do workshops on this, but what were some of the tools, or what did your teachers, what were things that they said to help you access each person's masters or ascended masters and guides? Yeah.
I'll say this, that what I learned in the training, I feel like you have to go through training, just like I went through the doula training, and I got I think it's like fundamentals or like some foundation, but then what becomes is so much different. So I don't really even remember what happened in training. I do remember that the first time I opened my records, I didn't feel anything different. And I said to the teacher, I was like, I got nothing. I don't know like what this is. And then we went into the next exercise, and then just is like, as if someone was standing next to me saying it into my ear. They said, consider the door has always been open. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then everything that was coming through, I was like, oh, yeah, this is really familiar to me. Like, I know this, but it was so normalized because just like your human experience, I will never, it's so natural and normal. And it's been going on for so long that it takes some kind of awakening to understand that, oh, this is unique to me, or this is otherworldly, or this is a metaphysical connection. Can I talk with my hands anymore?
I was like, are you Italian like me? Because I'm seeing the hands go everywhere. Yes. Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I relate. I've always, as a child, I was deeply sensitive and empathic and intuitive, but I don't think really until my later years in life did I realize how much so. And I think when you just land, as you were expressing to me, the door was always open for you, right? So you were always really in this space of healing and intuition and this gifting that you had, but you really, after being a doula, you landed in it. Yeah. I mean, I will just say again, I don't want to repeat, but it was so profound. I remember in the beginning of our session when I was just sitting there, and I believe in the beginning you were doing an energy clearing, and I remember my whole body sort of moving in this particular way, and then just tears streaming down my face. And the skeptic in me was going, what is, but then it was so real, and the energy exchange with you was so profound. So again, I guess I just wanted to be redundant to that point. Yes.
That's interesting because I didn't used to do that. I call it, I say that I'm balancing your energy. And I only adapted that into a reading around COVID, when everyone was so just on high alert, that in order to kind of access them and get them to sit with me, really to be with me, I had to and do that exchange, do that little kind of engagement. And it evolved into this whole thing. And even when I do it now, I think like, this is so cool, but I didn't make it up. I guess I made it up, but it just was channeled. Like the things I say, I'm like, that's so cool, but I didn't make it up. Does that make sense? Like, it was channeled. So that's another, for me, who is a skeptic, when I can be critical, I'm like, no, I would have never thought to do this. So this is something that they provided me, really.
Yeah. It is. It's profound. I want to circle back. You actually brought up, I didn't think I was going to ask you this question because in the past, I've asked many guests about 2020 and the time of COVID. And today I was like, no, I'm not going to ask Krista that. But I would, speaking with you, I'd be curious what 2020 was for you, especially with somebody with your depth and sort of intuitive and your gifting. Yeah, what 2020 was for you and now shifting into 2021. And I don't want to speak too much, but something I'm noticing in the collective field is, especially in America, is this sort of like lack of honoring our grief. And, we're just kind of like, we're moving on and we're back in business. But I'm hearing this general theme from my clients of still feeling very overwhelmed by socializing, feeling much more internalized. Again, I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but yeah, if you could answer what was 2020 for you and kind of where, yeah, on an individual and maybe some things or themes you noticed in the collective.
So in the collective, I think that makes perfect sense what you said, because we are all, for the majority, we are all in survival, right? So of course, we're just going to kind of power through and we're not going to stop and feel our feelings. And I think one of our biggest responsibilities in this human experience is to feel our feelings. But everything in society is geared towards us not having to do so. If I have a feeling, I have literally thousands of things I can do to divert my attention so I don't have to feel it. And so we're all avoidant. But that energetic trauma shows up constantly. And then it stacks up and then it becomes terrifying to even touch. It's a lot of what I deal with in my practice. It's a lot of what I deal with in myself. And in terms of personally, I reveled in all of the shutdown. I lived in LA, as I mentioned, and when everything shut down, it was like that intense competitive energy that exists all around us. If I'm not in it doing something, I feel so unworthy or irrelevant. And so for it to shut down and for me to have the experience of like, oh, no one can do anything, so there's no more competition, I was like in heaven. I was in heaven, and I could stop and I could think and I could feel and I could just think like, what do I want? And I made some big life decisions in that space that it provided me. And personally, I was never scared, or I try to be in the world and of the world, but not suffer from it. Mm-hmm. So, I limit things and I don't buy into things. But for the first time, there were moments that I had to kind of cool out and chill out and talk to my mind and get back into my body and feel safe. So it was incredibly challenging in little snippets, I would say. Because it is hyped out, right?
Right.
They are doing such a number on us. I have to engage in some ways, but I also, my whole thing is I need to feel my way through life and not think my way through life. So any kind of intellectual pursuit to try to figure it out or control it or, feel safe, that's not going to work. So I just go back to, and some days I just had to say, like, you're safe right now. Mm-hmm. Everything is fine right now. And let that be enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To echo your point of feeling your way through life versus thinking your way. And in a society that's so feeling phobic. And I would even say, and this is not to put it on everybody else, in my own life, I've experienced many a times where I just go, oh no, that is too intense. Where's my glass of wine? Where's the Instagram scroll? What have you?
As have I.
Yeah. What are some of your, I know you engage in breath work with clients, and I've been doing your breath work, which again, just listening to your voice and the instructions are amazing. How do you get people to really feel? because that's it.
I mean, I have a chance with them, in that hour, to, first of all, just get them into their bodies. And I have the ability to pull them in their body. Some people are there. It's rare though. Some people are they show up and I'm always a little like impressed and surprised that they're so embodied, but that's a rarity. Others, I pull them in gently, kind of bring them into body, and they go easily. It's familiar, it's a softening, it's a surrendering. Other people, it's really hard. And I have to kind of almost get in their body and connect them and pull them in. But I get them in their body, and that is the biggest part of it. Once you're in your body, you feel. And then I think creating that safe space, right? And the records, the energy of the records, when I open up that energy, it is just such pure love. It's the most loving energy. So I have people that start crying. I'm sometimes flooded with love and I start crying because my human body reacts to it. I have that benefit of the work I do. It's not me, it's that energy of the records opens up, and then they're feeling it. They can't help but feel it. Even, some people that have worked really hard to create some form of protection, some shell, some hardness, they get, even if it's just a drip, that drip is powerful to them. So
yeah, I felt like I got flooded by the ocean with you. It was, not so, yeah. It was, wait, but I had a point that I was going to go back to. Oh, you said embodied. Some people come in more embodied.
Mm.
And what do you think it is about individuals who are more embodied, what they engage in on a daily? Because again, I think this is something I have friends, clients, really asking how to, and a lot of people have an aversion towards meditation, breath work. I have many people I know that they just go, no, breath work is too intense. There's a lot of resistance. So, are there any things that you feel help people become more embodied?
So it's an individual thing. The people that are more embodied have probably in this lifetime not had, the traumatic experiences that other people have had. So let's take someone with sexual trauma and they haven't really processed it yet. If you can imagine that is a space where that event took place, of course, they're not going to want to go back there. It's too painful. It's terrifying. It's terrifying to varying degrees in terms of how much they have processed it, right? So it's a gentle act of surrender. It's like a tendering, right? It's not anything that you have to force and shove and push them back in. It's just a softening into these spaces that hold pain. But what I can say is, like with all my heart, is that is the work, that is the entire, that is your life. Like that is the whole point of you being here, is to go back into those places. And let me just say too, that, sexual trauma in one person could show up just as traumatic as, someone that got in a car accident in someone else, right? So it's just how people process or don't process, or who they are on a soul level. So the people that are more embodied probably aren't kind of working through certain issues in this lifetime, or have really worked hard in other lifetimes, I believe in past lives, to come in and have an experience of what it is to be embodied, and have just, or some people are just born like really grounded, and probably have families of origin that have nourished that, nurtured that, mirrored that. And it's, again, not to repeat myself, but it's an individual experience. So it depends on what they came in to learn, the lessons they came in to learn, where they are within those lessons, how avoidant they've been towards them, how engaged they've been with them. but the hardest thing is the best thing to do. The risk reward ratio is so high. And then having the reward being that you have like you are happy and whole and you can feel everything. So we can't feel the wonderful things without kind of going in and feeling the traumatic things. They all live in the same space. So if you want to feel incredible joy, you have to go in and feel that terrible pain so that you have a capacity. You've created a space. And I'll say, and I've seen this, I believe this with all my heart, that energy is just there. It's not going to bite back. It is not there to re-traumatize you. It's no longer real in the sense, like going back and touching into that space where someone has been mistreated. You're going into it, you're feeling it in order to release it. You are liberating this energy from your body. And I always tell my clients, when you go in to feel it, if you just sit with it, all it needs is your acknowledgement. All it needs is for you to honor it. And when you do that, I like to say, I release this slowly, easily, and forever. And it's an engagement. It's a relationship. And then I promise you that energy leaves. It can take a second. It can take a day. It can take, a week. It's just, you have to sit with it until it's processed and you can let it go.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what I believe in more. Like the crux of my work, I think, has evolved into releasing trauma, and using these tools. The Akashic records, the readings really help us understand it. And then the breath work is the most beautiful partnership with letting your body let it go. So the two of them combined it's like, for me and what I've seen it do, it's pure magic.
Yes. What I have, again, I myself am being redundant, but it is pure magic. And also, as you were talking, it made me think about something Dr. Gabor Mate talked about in doing ayahuasca ceremonies, that he says, I never walk into ceremony going, like that it's not going to be hard, or he's not going to feel the biggest, most intense feelings. So I want to piggyback on that point when you talked about risk and reward, and really diving into the self and diving into the pain, and also witnessing the beauty of being with your pain and feeling it and honoring it and massaging it.
Right? Yeah.
We'll both cry. It happens a lot on this show. But when he said that, I just went, wow, I respect his work so much as a very expansive clinician. And if you're comfortable talking about how has plant medicine informed your life?
I'm so in love with it. Like I'm so in love with Aya as an energy. And it so confirms my belief that the design of the universe is so highly intelligent. My personal experiences have been the first time I agreed to do it, things started happening months in advance. And my whole journey happened before I ever got to the place where we were taking the medicine. It was just so brilliant and fascinating and hard. And it brought up all this stuff before I even took the medicine. By the time I got to the place and took the medicine, I was all right because I'd already dealt with like a ton of stuff. And it wasn't that hard, but I also I don't drink and I don't, any of that. And I'm really conscious about what I eat, what I drink, all of that. But plant medicine is a medicine. I don't consider it a drug. I consider it a life force, and I consider it to be done in the right place with the right people, and having the right medicine. true medicine that has come through, ancestral lineage. I just think it's such a gift. It's just beautiful. And I get too that it's not for everybody. But for me, I think I'm all about it.
Yeah. Sorry.
I've also done it. I think I've done it 3 times now. And I'm not called to do it again. It's not like something, like I'm doing every weekend or anything like that. It's very precious. So, I don't know that I'll ever be called to do it again. And maybe I will, maybe I don't. It has to be respected.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you and I talked about in our session together how I felt like I went through pre-ceremony before signing up for the ceremony, in the sense, and my last episode, I actually talked about in an individual kind of journaling experience, how I was purging and releasing before. And I was hiking and I would have all these visions and images of traumatic events and things that really needed to move from my body and from my energy field, which, and you and I talked about in our session that the timing was not right to do the Aya, but I have the most profound respect for her and any of my clients or friends who've dropped in. It's profound. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
I wanted to talk about a little bit of just self-worth and self-love, because it's so buzzy and there's 8,000 courses that you could get online and all of these things that really sell to people, this is how you love yourself. And this is really how you drop into your worthiness. Now give me $3,000. So yeah, that's me poking a little bit, but in your own journey of being a human, what do you think has really cultivated your, and I think, and woman to woman, it's such an important topic, worthiness and self-love. What do you think has helped you step into your worthiness and a more loving space?
Time. Honest to God, the benefit of time. I'm someone that's stubborn. I'm really stubborn, and I've been on my own from a very young age. So I've had to be my own parent and teacher and what have you. So I didn't come from a family that taught me good values or self-worth at all. If anything, they damaged it greatly. Bless them, right? Doing the best they could. But so I had to learn it out in the world, and the world is really cruel. I also lost my father when I was young. Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
So growing up, I think the father's role in a good, healthy relationship, and he was a wonderful man and he really cherished me, but he left before he could teach me my self-worth and my value. And so I went out into the world and looked to men to do that for me. And that was not, that didn't work. That did not work. To any young girls listening.
I've listened to many. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, trial and error, being really honest with myself when I was able to, we all live in denial. I say that we all have blinders on, and they're there for a reason. We have to kind of survive certain circumstances. And when we get to, let's say, just a clearing where we feel safe, perhaps we can take those blinders off. But then, as we move forward, there's other blinders, right? It's layers and layers and layers, and it's being willing to shed those layers. It's being willing to learn and listen and watch. And I just recently went and started doing EMDR therapy.
Oh, I offer it. That's
really? Amazing.
Yeah. And I think it's outside of plant medicine, one of the deeper ways to get in there. Yeah.
Right. So I'd heard such good things about it, and it was coming up in readings for people a lot. And I was recommending it and not really, it comes through and I just say it. And I thought, well, I should go and do this. And I went, and after I think like my third session, I just felt it has a profound effect. I thought if I'm grateful for anything, I'm grateful, and I don't take credit for it, but I'm grateful that I'm the kind of person I'm constantly trying to be a better person or have a better understanding. I keep going and doing work. And I certainly hit walls where I think, I've already done this, or why do I have to do this again? I'm human, but to keep trying, I think, is the biggest part of it, to not give up. That doesn't mean you can't take breaks. That doesn't mean that, you get to a place where you're just exhausted, but just when you can, like, get back up again and go and learn and grow and try. And I don't remember what the original question was. Did I answer it?
You answered it beautifully. I mean, it's all about stepping into worthiness and self-love. And a lot of times what I tell my clients, and even have to remind myself, is it's work. It's yeah.
And
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
it's okay.
What I think self-worth is that you're responsible for you. It's also an act of maturity. I am responsible for my actions. I am responsible for my thoughts, regardless of what happened to me, regardless of what happened to me this morning. If someone was rude, I'm responsible. I'm responsible for my happiness. I'm responsible for my health. I'm responsible for my income, for my savings, my financial security, all of it. I'm responsible. Mm-hmm. That to me is self-worth. That is self-love. And then everything else is extra. So, it's not easy, but
it is not, I'm reading this book right now called Inner Engineering, by Sadhguru. Wow. And what he talks about is to get into a kind of vibrational space with life, to be in this really effortless, is putting in the effort. And it's not about, self-flagellation along the way. As people are listening to this, but it really is, as you said, taking ownership, really taking ownership of where you're at, your relationship with money, your career, your relationships with other humans. I mean, it's just, I remember one of my therapists who I saw for years, Sharon. God, I love Sharon. And, she's now probably about 75 and just amazing. And she said to me, she goes, Gina, do you think it ever ends? And I went, no. Yeah. And she goes, that's the exciting part. And I remember, and she said it to me with this huge grin of just, and that's it. And you just keep peeling back the layers. Whereas I've had some people say to me, family members go, Gina, don't you just get exhausted? You work on yourself so intensely. And isn't there a point that, and I go, no, this is really what I believe. And I think you answered one of my rapid fire questions at the end, which is, I believe that we're here that's it.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. Of course.
Yeah. But I feel, and I hope that humans listening to this, and that, which is why I want to continue to spread this message, is really, that's why.
Also, let it be the big adventure. Like, let it be fun. Like, let yourself fail and fall down and just best you can laugh it off, dust yourself off, and get back up, and like have a sense of humor. Have a sense of humor. Like, I laugh at myself all the time of what a total, like, I don't know, dork I am, or like how weird I am, or how I got something so wrong, or what I must look like to other people, and just be like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. I think having fun and having a sense of humor and surrounding yourself with people that like really get you. I'm so lucky that my friends, oh my God, there's nothing I can't share with them. There's nothing that we can't find funny in our own our peccadillos.
Yes.
because that other word wasn't coming out. Just like the human condition can be, I get it. There's horrible things that go on in this world. And I don't want to minimize that even a tiny bit, but there's also the counterbalance. And, if we can just love the experience of it, we can love ourselves in it, and we can love others around us.
Yeah. And again, just that expanding that love, and operating. That's actually part of my daily prayer after I meditate is just really opening up my heart and moving past any, because we live in a world, there's so much judging and polarization and intense energy, out there and really, what were you saying?
It's criticism.
Yeah. Criticism of, So stepping into that space of just being all loving as much as humanly possible. But that's effortful as well, or for me, really opening up. Okay. I'm going to, I think we have covered so many spaces. Oh, I did want to ask you, how do people clear energy? I've actually been taking a Qigong class with my girlfriend, who's one of my deep soul sisters. And it's such a fascinating process of kind of banging on your body and then taking the chi from the sky and channeling it. What do you, when working with people or even yourself, because you work with so many humans, how do you clear any energy that you pick up?
I have the benefit of being in the records and then closing the records. I also weird little things. I take off whatever, when I'm done for the day, I take those clothes off and that's it. I don't know if that is a literal, I'm sure there is, because I just have to get that off of me. I always take a walk after. I always have water by me. I always use water. Water's a big one, baths, showers, things like that. And then in my daily practice, I have it so I kind of know my energy, almost like if you're in a room that has no smell and then a smell is introduced, you can it alerts you that something's different. So I can feel if something's off in me. And either I get it off through a variety of ways, or I have people that I can call and just say, is this something? And they can help me clear it. So either through my own measures, or I have a backup.
Okay.
Right. Because I've had, funky attachments for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always, at the end of therapy sessions, I wash my hands.
Yeah.
Just in between sessions. Yeah. Clear any, that kind of came intuitively to me one day. And water, I'm a surfer. So just getting floating in the ocean and sort of letting anything clear, because I've actually felt in sessions where I'm starting to accumulate other people's energy or wounding. I had my own kind of issue of merging a little bit too much energetically, and then I'll feel that. And so clearing it. So I want to say also to people listening that happens out in the world, and that happens, So
I think you recognizing it. There's some days when I'm done and I have to get to the beach. I just have to go sit at the beach. Some days I'm just clear and it feels differently. Just really paying attention. If I feel like I need food, that's an indication that there's something on me, and I'm trying to process it in a way. Just paying attention. And then I was going to say something else. I forget now, but fire is a really good one too. Lighting candles, saging, smells, all of it, using the senses to kind of clear out.
Clear out. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, we'll go into some of I feel like, I have so enjoyed our conversation today. And I think you answered a lot of my rapid fire questions, but the first one is always kind of a funny one, but it's just Do you feel like you're more of a Beyonce or Rihanna woman?
Oh my God, that's so good. Can I say neither?
Yes, of course.
No, let me say that, like, I mean, come on, Beyonce is amazing. Beyonce is amazing, but I'm not like a super fan. And that's a whole other conversation. They're both fantastic. I'm an
Okay.
they just are so different. They have such amazing qualities. I can't choose. Sophie's choice. I can't choose.
So would you, if there was a musician of your choice, or who would it be that sort of embodies Krista?
Like current or
what have you?
God, you're putting me on the spot. I'm obsessed with music. I love music so much that I think I love Dolly Parton. I think she's just such the brightest light. She's so smart. She's so funny. She's so talented. She's so generous. She's, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would get really giddy and weird around Dolly Parton if I ever met her. Like I couldn't kind of control it.
Yeah. I dressed up as Dolly Parton one year. I was in New Orleans, and but these were my younger years, and went into a 3-6 Mafia show. I don't know if you're familiar with 3-6 Mafia, but it was that's a later conversation for you and I to have. But yes, dressing as Dolly was wonderful. Okay, you answered why we think humans are here on this planet, and
for fun. Why not? What else are we going to do?
Right. Yes. Fun and peeling back the layers.
Fun and incredibly, incredibly hard work.
Yes. Okay.
With a huge reward. There's such a reward to feel, to come from feeling so wounded and broken and unworthy and unseen and betrayed and victimized, and to come into fullness and to really be able to feel love and then participate in love and then give love.
Yeah. Amen, sister. What do you think happens after death?
I think like I have had a lot of death in my family, so I think they're all right here. Okay. And I have had experiences like the clearer I get, I can feel them. So I used to, as I mentioned, my father died, and I used to hear him. And my mother died 15 years ago, and just recently I started to hear her. Wow. And the other night I was having trouble going to sleep, and so I always kind of call my father in to just help, quiet me or settle me. And I was asking both of them, and my mother came in and I heard her voice, and I'd never heard a female voice before. And my whole body like expanded with this energy. It was the craziest thing. I can't really articulate it, but it was like no feeling I'd ever felt before. I felt like I was lifted up. I felt like I'd like been blown up like a balloon. I probably sound crazy right now.
No, not at all.
It was incredible. So I think they're right there. And I think that they go, and when I leave, I'll have to do work on what I wasn't able to accomplish in this lifetime, or what I have to kind of make amends for. I mean, that's my very human mind.
Yeah.
Trying to make a story out of what happens. I don't know. I have times where I'm not scared, and then other times where I'm like fascinated, and I don't know, but there's something there that
Yeah. I just want to say, I really, and I knew this from the first time we worked together, I so appreciate your humility, at being as powerful of a woman as you are, truly, because I think that's something, again, I'm going to sound a little bit like a shit when I say this, but that's missing a bit. There's so much spiritual narcissism in the world right now. Or I want to say this carefully. Well, no, I'm not. And I just, you saying certain things, like, I just don't know, and I'm still fascinated by it. And I really appreciate that, because I just feel there are a lot of humans who will say, absolutely, I do know. They do understand all of the laws of the universe and and maybe there are some beings that are walking this earth that really, they operate at this heightened level, but but I also think the universe is expansive and there's a lot that we just don't know.
Amen. Can I also say that when people, and I bless them because I get that we want to understand and we want to feel safe, but anytime anyone is too much in their head about what it all is, and they have a language for it and they've labeled everything, I see that as a disconnection. Like they might have this giant mental capacity to kind of, lay out the entire grid. But that to me is, you're lost in all of that. You're not even in your body. You're up in your head. You're making stories. You're using your ego to do so because you don't feel safe. And it really translates like, oh, you're terrified. And so you're going to try to make sense of it all. And, that's part of it. I get, we all have to go through what we have to go through, but yeah, that doesn't appeal to me. I think more than anything, it's not an intellectual pursuit. It's something that I have to feel and intuit. And that's how I make sense of things. And I could absolutely be wrong. What I know to be true is what I have experienced for myself. And other people are going to have other experiences. So I only know me. Like if, 100%, well, that's not even true because I don't know myself 100%, but you know what I mean?
I do. I followed everything that you just said. Yes, 100%. So very last one, a motto, it sounded like I just got done watching Narcos and there's this character. I shouldn't watch Narcos either. It's so intense and violent, but there's a drug lord. His name is Amato. And what I'm saying to you is a motto, or saying that something a teacher, even a friend has said to you that you're just like, oh man, it's this thing that I go by in life.
Well, my one thing that I really kind of changed my life. I came from a family with 2 older sisters and I was the kick around toy. And so everything was my fault. And so I went out into the world and I literally, things would happen and I would assign blame to myself for them, even if I wasn't even there. Like it had to go. I was conditionalized to think that everything was my fault. So something that happened in my young adulthood was I had to make nothing wrong. I kind of didn't do a good bridge to that, but basically like I've done nothing wrong. It started with, I've done nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong. And I had to say that to myself a lot to just kind of get to a balanced state. And then in my work, it became, just because we can get so burdened by the right and the wrong and the judgment and the self-hatred and the self-loathing. And I don't see it that way in the work that I've done. I don't see that they see it that way. I don't see that helps in any way. So if everything is working in our favor and if everything is coming to us to provide us opportunities to learn and grow, and if we get it wrong, that is still part of the process, then make nothing wrong. And I'm not talking about people that go out and create harm in the world intentionally. Let's take that out of it. But, people that are operating from a good place and trying their best and, doing the work, like, don't double down and make things harder by assigning blame or judgment or any of that. Just make nothing wrong. Try to inhabit and try to believe that you're doing the best and everyone else around you is doing the best that they can. Mm-hmm. That's been really, really transformative.
No, thank you for sharing that, because I think something I struggle with is, even though being a therapist and, even with this podcast, feeling like I hope to help people, but there's this part in me that's like, I could be doing more, or I could be helping, because there's so much suffering in the world. And I saw your eyeballs right there. but I do. It's this reminder of, no, you're doing fine, Gina, and you're offering love and you're showing up to the best of your capabilities. But I think everyone listening should really honor that as well, because it's such a consistent thread that I listen to in sessions is people often feel that they're always falling short, whether it's in their relationships as a mother, in their career,
parenting,
in parenting. And it's just like, make nothing wrong. And also we're human and we're going to make mistakes and we're not going to do everything perfectly,
and celebrate them, celebrate your triumphs, celebrate where you showed up, celebrate every little tiny advancement, engagement, win, joy, like celebrate all of that, let that magnify, and then, learn the lessons, but let them go. Like don't torment yourself, then you're stuck there. Then you're, in your shadow and you're in that dark. Stay in the light, focus on the light, celebrate the light, magnify the light.
Okay. That's what we're with. Celebrate the light and stand in the light. Okay, Krista, how can people find you? What are you offering? Because you're such a gift for anybody that can work with you. So if you want to give your information, I would love that.
Thank you. My website is akashicglow.com. Do I need to spell that or?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. And I do Akashic readings. I do Akashic Breathwork, where I open up your records, and it's more of a healing endeavor for the energetic body. And I teach you how to open your own records and what that process is like. And then I do group breathwork sessions. If you want to get your loved ones and friends together, that's a beautiful, beautiful experience. And and then I have on my website, there's a page where you can download certain things, and there's all different kinds of stuff there.
Yes. And anyone listening, definitely go check her out. I know I've already sent you. Hopefully I didn't flood you with too many people. But
thank you so much.
Yeah. I remember after our session, I was like, yes.
That's such an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for joining me today and sharing your energy and your wisdom and your light. Thank you so much. And
I will say thank you so much. This is such a pleasure. I could do this every day. You are such a joy. You are such a powerful, powerful, beautiful soul that I know that all you want to do is love. And that is incredible. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for bringing tears at the end. Thank you, Krista. Mwah. Have a beautiful day.
You too, honey.
All right. Bye.
Hi, friends. If you have been enjoying Spaces Between, please take a moment to subscribe, and leaving a review is the cherry on top. Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you next week.